All right, can we have a motion to call the meeting to order?
I'll make a motion to call the meeting to order.
Second?
Second.
Awesome.
Crawford.
All right, thank you very much. So calling the meeting to order at 6:01 p.m. Good evening, everyone. First and foremost, I would like to start off with introductions of the committee. So if we can start over here with you.
Hi, I am Kimberly Nunn Crawford, the Executive Director of the Will Carson Health and Wellness Center.
My name is Brian John.
Kennard Robinson.
Marilyn Turman, Clearwater Urban Leadership Coalition.
Patrick McKinney.
Vicki Shire, CRA Program Manager.
Diane Lopez, CRA Assistant Director.
Awesome, thank you very much. So moving into our next meeting item, it's the approval of our last meeting minutes. Has anyone?
I make a motion that we approve the minutes from the last meeting. And Vicki, we've already made those corrections. Do I need to say what the said corrections for those who may have seen it? No.
Okay.
I motion that we the minutes.
All right, thank you
from
very
last
much.
meeting. Yes.
You have a second? Okay. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, motion carries. Thank you very much. Moving into our new business items. So we have a presentation from PSTA. So Ann, would you?
Yep. Ann Lopez, CRA Assistant Director. So this item that we have forward, we have some folks from the city who got together and met with PSTA who wanted to share about their connected community bus network. So it's a planning committee that's getting together through PSTA, and they're looking at areas on which to be able to share this information. We figured that this committee would be a good place to kind of share that information. You all are in very different aspects and places in the committee, so this would be great information for you to have to take forward. So with that, I would like to introduce Heather Sobush from PSTA to provide you with more information and a presentation. And if you need help with your PowerPoint, just let us know.
Good thing I'm shorter. So yes, I'm Heather Sobush. I'm the Director of Planning with PSTA. And we are in the second phase of our public outreach for our community bus plan, which we are calling the Connected Community Bus Network. And so we wanted to share this information with you and also encourage you to share it with those that you interact with in the community. Right now, the details of the plan can be found on the PSTA website. On the first page, there's a banner, you can click on it, and there is a public survey. And then I'd also be happy to send the survey link out to staff if you want to share that further. But today I'm going to give you a pretty high level, but with some details presentation of the recommendations so far. And we did get with the public, we conducted an on-board survey where we talked to riders about where they are going to and from. We have sent out another earlier public survey asking the community members what they'd like to see in an improved bus network, and then we worked with city staff to get their ideas as well. And so just some high-level information. Our recommendations with this plan are cost neutral. PSTA, like many other agencies, does not have additional funding to put out new service, but what we've done is kind of reallocate our existing service to try to make it a more clear and concise and connected network. And so what we mean by that is route schedules are easy to understand, clear, that the consistency is there, and today we have a lot of routes that don't operate on weekends or not at all on Sundays, and so this is to make 7-day-a-week service on most of our network. And then connected, designing routes so that they're more straight, they don't like meander all over the place, and then also that bus routes are timed together, and I'll explain that a little more later, to improve transfers between routes. So this is our existing network. And I know it's hard to see, but it basically shows in red our routes that run 15 minutes or so, then in purple the routes that are 30 minutes or less. It's kind of blue, our routes that run about 30 to 45 minutes, and then green, 60 minutes. And then we have a couple express routes that are pretty limited that go to Tampa. And so those are dashed lines over a couple of the bridges. And then in the new network, and I will explain some of these changes, same color scheme, but basically we have more weekend service, less Monday through Friday peak only, so we did have to balance, so we take away a little bit of the peak service and put it so we can have 7-day a week and later service in the evenings. We have some services that we're recommending for tourist transportation demand. We do have some core routes that we want to capitalize on that have a lot of passengers per hour. We want to increase access to jobs and then decrease travel time. It's like a mystery which presentation I'm giving. I gave one earlier, there's a different version. Jacob went out of town and he's the one that sent these out. So anyway, what this graphic shows is existing on the left and then at 8 p.m. So you'll see a lot of white, which basically means those bus routes don't run until 8 p.m. And then our draft recommendations, which show a lot more buses running until 8 p.m. or later. And then on the right is our existing Sunday service, and so you see more of the white that shows routes that don't operate at all. And then our new network, which shows the majority of routes, the far majority of routes operating on Sundays. This map shows evening service, so you'll see on the left today, and on the right, the recommendations, and so you see a lot less gaps. So you see kind of in the middle of the county on the left, there's a lot of white space, and that's because there's no bus routes that run in the evenings in those areas. And this is the same for Sunday service. As you see, there's a lot more coverage on Sundays. And then in terms of, and something I wanted to talk about for this community is one of the benefits that we've done with this new network in terms of evening and weekend is we have made sure that our best routes through these communities maintain service and then have better service. So here, I'll get to that in a minute, sorry. And then tourist transportation demand, PSTA is partnering with the city of Clearwater, and we will be managing the contract for the Clearwater ferry service, and so that will be going between downtown and the marina as it did before, but it's also going to help supplement the issues with transportation that are about to occur with the marina on the beach going under construction. And then we're also implementing a pilot on-demand service between PIE Airport, St. Pete Clearwater Airport, and Clearwater Beach. That'll be an on-demand service, lower cost than getting an Uber or obviously renting a car. And this is a map of our core network, and so we want to enhance these routes in these areas. And what we do to try to add service is look for grant dollars to implement those. So in St. Pete, for example, we want to implement what we're calling the Spark, which is a limited stop service between downtown and Eckerd College. Over in this area, we intend to implement premium service, limited stop service on alternate 19, so that you can get between downtown Clearwater and St. Pete much quicker than you can today. And then what this graphic show is that, again, we were looking at increasing access to jobs. And by having more evening service, we give a lot more, 25% more actually, access to jobs in the evenings, which obviously helps our service industry workers and shift workers. So that's really important. And then same with on Sunday, it's a slightly less than 25% increase in access to jobs on Sundays. Another thing we intend to do, and here's a Clearwater example, is make the connections better. So for example, if you take the Route 73 today and you go to Park Street Terminal and you need to transfer to the Suncoast Beach Trolley, you could have to wait up to 30 minutes because those routes aren't timed together. So we're going to do what we call pulsing and have the routes timed to depart at the same time or within 5 minutes so that you can make the transfer and not have to sit there and wait for 30 minutes. This is just another summary. I don't need to read the summary again. And then again with the cost neutral concept. So in order to add evening and weekend service, we did have to take some hours from somewhere else. So what we did is, like I said, eliminate some of those peak hour services. We have a Route 52 that goes between Park Street and downtown St. Pete, and it has an overlay of peak. So taking out that, and it was a pilot and turned out to be kind of confusing for our riders anyway. So we can take the hours from that and put it into some of that evening and weekend service as an example. I don't know if it's in this presentation, but another interesting thing for this community is now the Route 78, which is a pretty frequent route today and has really good what we call productivity, so a lot of passengers per hour, will now be a one-seat ride to the Northwest Transfer Center in Tampa. So we think that's a new benefit, and then we have a couple other new one-seat rides in the county. And then so I'll end up on what we're doing next. And so, as I said, the survey and the details are on our website. We are going to continue to do community outreach. We have that survey is open through early January. And then based on the feedback we get from the surveys and from these kind of meetings, we may make tweaks. And we've already had a couple that the community has asked us to make. And so we are going to look at those with a fine-tooth comb, make sure we're not negatively impacting a large number of people. In February, we plan to hold a public hearing, and then in March, our board would vote. And then it takes us quite a while to change all the bus routes. It's a really complicating process to schedule routes. So we would plan to implement in October of 2025, and then between April and October, really get out there and talk to our riders about what changes they're going to be seeing. We ride buses and we talk to riders on the buses. We go to more community meetings, we go to community events. And then upon implementation, we get out there and we have a large number of staff on the ground to help people not miss their routes or, understand the changes. Because some people don't, until it's like right upon them, they don't notice what's going to be happening. So we've done this in the past and it worked pretty well. I believe that's the end of this presentation. It is. But I'm happy to take any questions you all might have for me.
I definitely have a question.
Yes.
So as it pertains to the North Greenwood community specifically, do we know how much of the data that you've collected has come from this community?
I do not off the top of my head, but I
Okay.
can look at that.
Okay.
And I can get that information back to the staff.
Okay, cool. That will really be good to see. Because, and a follow-up question to that is, when it comes to the data that's collected, so you've mentioned jobs specifically, right? So do we know where these jobs are located, where people are trying to get to and get from?
So with our onboard survey, it was done last March, so it was intentionally done during our peak season. It asks people their entire journey.
Okay.
So it asks how did they get to the bus, like did they walk or get dropped off or bike.
Mhm.
It asks the first route they take. If they take another route, it asks that. It collects their origin location, and then it collects the destination location. So it does take a little bit of sorting in Excel to
Okay.
but I can dig in
Okay.
very specifically to certain areas of the community.
Okay, that would be good to see. Another thing I'd like to see is the percentage of people that rely on public transportation for work versus pleasure, right? So understanding like why are people using the bus? Are they only using it for work? Are they using it for pleasure? And if they're not using it for pleasure, how can we maybe increase some of that access, right? So thinking about people from the community, maybe they're here and they want to go to the beach, they want to go to a Rays game, they want to go to, what have you, right? Just to try to understand some of what that looks like.
Yeah, and I mean, off the top of my head, I do know that the majority of trips are to or from work.
Okay.
But there is a lot of all types of trips. There's
Mhm.
a lot of medical trips, there's a lot of recreational trips. One kind of fun data fact that we're still kind of digging into the data, but we started our UPass with Pinellas County Schools where any student can ride the bus for free just by showing their Focus account screen on their phone or their ID, although a lot of kids don't get an ID. I know I have kids in the school system, they don't get IDs. We dug into some of that data, and it was really cool to see how many places people are going. It's all over the county, and there were actually a lot of, we did a survey in May to June, so it was after school got out, and a lot of kids were going to the beach.
Mhm.
So that was really interesting, but it's, we have bus operators pushing buttons, like every time I saw on boards and we use one of these IDs, and so it's not perfect data, but it's still something better than nothing.
Okay.
But I can't get you countywide even the percentages of all the different types of trips.
Okay.
And that is something we include in our presentations when we do the survey presentation.
Okay. I have another question, but I don't want to hog the floor.
You actually asked one of the questions I wanted, so I'm good.
Okay. Does anyone else, before I jump in again?
Go for it.
You go for it first.
So, I know with the presentation, and thank you for the presentation. So it sounds like you are wanting maybe organizations to help with kind of getting what is the ask? What would you like us to share? Like
The
that-
survey link which ends in early January, but if you can send that link out and get as many people to complete it as possible, it gives them a summary of what we're recommending and asks them if they think it would benefit them, or if it would benefit a friend, or ask a bunch of questions like that. Like to get them to react to what we're proposing.
So, and of course, you tonight shared a PowerPoint. When they go to the link, how complicated or how easy is it? What are they seeing?
Well, it's in a separate site, like it links you to another site, and so it is intended to be public friendly. There is, of course, the technical documents, which would, if somebody wants to read hundreds of pages, but the site should be public friendly enough for people to be able to understand the changes. We did some slider bar maps, so you can do like before, after, and that's just lines on the map, but it's still something that people like to see. And that's the first reaction people usually have, is to the lines on the map, and if their line goes away, that would be a concern. And we're trying not to do that. There are tweaks in some areas, but in this community in particular, I actually recommended not making some of the consultants' changes, because they were switching which roads different routes run on, and the route that has 30-minute service was being switched to a different road. And I was like, no, can we not mess with people like that? Because it's already a good service, and if you already had 30-minute service and then you get 60, you're not gonna be happy. So really, we're really trying. I'm a North County person, so I kind of know these communities a lot better, and then we have South County people, so I'm really trying to make sure that, we're advocating ourselves as planners for our riders, because that's who we are ultimately here to serve.
So my other question is there any partnership or collaboration or conversation on the economic development side? So thinking about job creation, thinking about jobs that are already in existence, and making sure that there's a transportation component that helps people get to and from these newly created or maybe already existing jobs.
Yes. So we work in kind of a lot of different ways. There's an agency called Forward Pinellas, which is what we call the Metropolitan Planning Agency.
You said Forward?
Forward Pinellas. Okay. They're in downtown Clearwater.
Mm-hmm.
And they do a lot of land use planning. So like we collaborate with them, for example, on alternate 19. They're trying to work with the cities to change the codes so that when redevelopment happens, it's done in a way that's transit supportive, and so that it can complement what transit services are there. And then, we do try to work with, even at the site plan level, we work with the cities, and they give us site plans, or sometimes some cities, like the city of Clearwater, if you're within like 25 minutes of transit, you can get certain incentives as a developer. If you're within a quarter mile of a route that runs 30 minutes or better, that's actually what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So they send us site plans, and then we help them identify, okay, yeah, this isn't. Or sometimes they send us site plans and we say, hey, can we get the developer to help us, City of Clearwater does this a lot on US 19, help us pay for a bus shelter. So you get a brand new bus shelter with a new development. So we do coordinate a lot with all the local jurisdictions. I was actually presenting today to a committee that was city staff from all over the county.
Mm.
So yeah, we do, that's a big part of the planning function.
All right.
In the agencies, yeah.
All right, thank you for that, because
I know it doesn't look like it sometimes, but we are in there doing it.
well, people don't know what they don't know, right?
Exactly.
So I think that it's important that this is a conversation that's had not just with us, but with the greater community, so that they know, like, hey, there are jobs out there. Here's a way to get to your job that's hopefully less stressful, right? So,
Yes.
okay, cool.
I had a couple, unless you have one.
Go for it.
Mine was answered, yes.
I have two. The first one's easy. At the end of the presentation, you use the term one-seat bus.
Mhm.
What is that? Is that a bus?
Oh,
with
sorry,
one
a
seat?
one-seat ride.
Yeah.
So, for example, today, if you want to go to the Northwest Transit Center in Tampa, which people do, there's, they can transfer out Hillsborough County routes and jobs in Tampa, they would have to take the Route 78 or the Route 61 or the Route 62 from downtown Clearwater and then transfer to another bus to get them to Tampa. And so this would be, they could get on at Park Street or along MLK and go all the way without having to make a transfer. And every time you have to make a transfer, there's potentially the risk of missing the transfer. And then if you can't be reliable to get to work, obviously that's an issue. So So, yeah.
So this is like a direct flight.
Yeah.
Okay. So my other's a little bit more complicated. I've become old, and as a result of that, I'm very sympathetic to the elderly.
Mhm.
So I'm really trying to find ways to make life better for them. So when I drive around, I look at this, and you have some main thoroughfares like Fort Harrison. I see the buses going along there.
Mhm.
But if you're an elderly person and you're living, let's say, 6, 7, 8 blocks away from that, and the sidewalks, if they are there, they're kind of beaten up,
Yep.
and it's hot, and there's no grocery stores here. So, and they don't have a car. I think it says like 26% of the people don't have cars here. So you can't ask people to drive you around all the time, and people have their pride, they want to be self-sufficient. In some communities, I see that they have like little mini buses. A bus that's maybe 12 people, 16 people, something like that. Did they ever give any thought to, not like the primary road, but if you have like secondary primary roads where they could get, half an hour, the bus goes there and takes them off to the main road? They ever look at things like that?
We've tried a couple routes like that we call connectors, but unfortunately there was only like 1 or 2 people that would ride per hour, and some trips had no riders.
Yeah.
And so we couldn't justify that with the, public funding. We do have a program that we call Direct Connect, where we have a bunch of locations around the county, and people can get $5 off an Uber or Lyft ride or a taxi ride to get to the bus route. And we have a ton of people using that in Pinellas Park, actually. I think sometimes they're not even riding the bus. I think they're just shopping at Pinellas Park Transit Center. But to your point, people need to get to the store.
Yeah.
And I guess in this community, you have to get, all the way to either south of Fort Harrison for a Publix, or you have to go on 580 to the grocery stores on 580.
Yeah.
So I can understand how that could be a hardship.
Okay, thank you.
Heather, on the survey, those types of comments or input, there's a place in there where you can
Yes.
provide that? Okay, wonderful.
Yes.
As we push that survey out, you just
Yeah.
remind people they can add their
And we
comments.
do, also, I know you spoke of independence, and I do appreciate that a lot of people want their independence, but we do also have a number of services, through our door-to-door services, through PSTA access, and then we have a mobility on demand portion of that. It's not doesn't work as good for a wheelchair because there's, Ubers and Lyfts can be much more nimble,
Yeah.
but it's a pretty low cost. We just raised the rate, but I think it's like $4 a trip. So we do take a lot of people on that, and a lot of that's like dialysis or,
Yeah.
medical appointments, but also grocery shopping.
Any other questions? Nope. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me.
Thank you for coming.
I will follow up with you all with the links.
Awesome, thank you. And the information, right? The data?
Yes.
Perfect, thank you.
The data people are in my group, so I got you on that one.
Awesome, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Alrighty, so getting back to our agenda, old business items are next, but we didn't have anything.
Julia Baltus is
Oh,
going to come up and
okay.
give you just some updates on where we are with our 2 North Greenwood grant programs.
That's right, thank you.
Hi, Julia Voltes, CRA specialist. Oh, should I face this way or?
I just need to be able to catch you on the recorder.
Right here.
Oh, so small. Julia Voltes, CRA specialist. As you all know, I assist with our North Greenwood grants. We have a residential grant program and we have a commercial grant program. The residential grant program is more focused on exterior improvements, whereas commercial is kind of a little more areas where we can help assist. So I wanted to run some numbers with you all. Right now we have 7 approved residential exterior grants. We approved them and the total number is $86,333.40. And we have 1 approved commercial grant program, which is St. Joseph Holding, which is also called Your Mama. They are 1125 Eldridge. We are bringing 2 new commercial, 2 more businesses for the North Greenwood commercial grant to the December 16th CRA trustee meeting to get them approved. One is 1700 North LLC? I know they are the Clearwater Brewery, and the other one is Big Jim's Barbecue. We are going to bring them forward to get them approved. And I'm happy to answer any questions you all
Where's the brewery located?
have.
Fort Harrison, where the old Clearwater Brewery used to be.
Okay.
It's going there.
Okay,
And these will be taken forth at the December 16th CRA meeting.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, Ms. Kendall. Can you tell us what the subject of the commercial grants were?
The subject?
Like what they're gonna
what
be
are you
used for?
funding?
How do they qualify?
Oh, so use for, well, which one?
Well,
For-
either of them. Is it just to make it look beautiful?
Yes.
Or is it functional on the inside?
Well, for big gyms, both. So they're doing paving, exterior signage,
Okay.
ADA, plumbing, electrical, countertops, bathroom, they're doing a whole
Okay.
bunch. And then for the brewery, it's kind of the same thing, but they're adding turf, they're doing decorative fencing, lighting. They're doing retroactive for the roof, just because they bought the building and Hurricane Helene happened, so they had to get a new roof, so they're asking for retroactive.
But would the grants apply, like for those two, they have food, drinks and things, like for food storage, cold storage, like someone needed a new freezer or a new refrigerator to store the food? Or is that outside of that?
I don't think so.
I would say it kind of, Ann Lopez, CRA Assistant Director, it would kind of depend. So we would really need to sit down and talk with them and kind of see what their plan is and what the concerns are. If it's just that they potentially had a freezer that no longer works, if it's due to plumbing issues,
Yeah.
then yeah, maybe we could help through. But the best option we have is anyone can come in Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9 to 1, I think we extended it to, and schedule a meeting to meet with Julia to go over the grant programs that we have for both North Greenwood and downtown. And she can sit down, really kind of give that one-on-one personal to really go over specifically what they're looking for.
So
So,
what I was thinking of, there's a business and they wanted to expand, make more jobs, get more customers, it needs capacity. So it can only store so much food, but if they found there was a demand for it,
then yes.
it could expand. So they would come in and talk to you like on a business plan and say,
Yes.
this is what we're thinking of doing.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You said come in where? Where are your offices located?
Citizen comments, you just have to.
Oh, so we have citizen comments at the end of the agenda?
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine, you're fine.
But if I could just make one quick comment.
Mm-hmm.
On behalf of the CRA, I would like to thank the coalition for their help with this. Specifically Miss Madra Franklin Bell for all her work. Her and Julia have become very much a tag team on this. So they are really going hand in hand and helping. I know Madra has been out helping some of the residents get some of the quotes and things that they need. So on behalf of the CRA, I would just like to thank you for your help. It is very much appreciative to be able to have somebody within the community that's willing and ready to step up and be able to help us help you. So thank you. That's what it's all about. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Any other questions? Seeing none? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Julia?
All right, so the next item on the agenda is the director's report, but we will not have one this evening. So moving on to agenda item number 6, board members to be heard. Are there any thoughts, perspectives, questions?
I don't have any questions, but in our first meeting, we had a group who came from the, yes, thank you. Like, what is the name of this creek? Stevenson's Creek, yes. And I just wanted to make a note that they provided us with a QR code so we could review the information, but the QR code was not functional. I did go on that QR code immediately after the meeting, so I just wanted it to be known that I did go on to review to kind of see where their positions were. And so I didn't see anybody here tonight, so I guess we'll see when they maybe come to future meetings and have discussion on that.
Okay, perfect, thank you. Anything else? So one thing that I do want to add, so as you can probably tell by my line of questioning for the PSTA, data and analytics I feel are very important, especially for me as a business owner, where I rely on data analytics to help drive decisions and come up with recommendations, right? So I just want to put it out there that I think that over our next, few months, I think it's going to be important that we do a good job of making sure that we are reviewing data. And I'm not even sure if this is within the scope of our responsibility as a committee, but maybe even proposing some sort of maybe like a strategic planning session where we could just kind of like sit down and just maybe try and set some goals for the year. Again, I'm not sure if that's something that is within the scope of our responsibilities, but if it is something that I would like to propose, because I want to be sure that we are moving the needle the way that we would like for the needle to be moved. So.
I think it's a great idea, as long as it's in the scope of what we are promoted to do, that we should be doing. We want to hear from the public, but if there's some things that we need to strategize about that line up with this huge plan we have.
Right.
I'd like to be working on those things, so yes.
And I feel that, if we were to have some sort of strategic planning session, right, that we have, of course, community, right, but have a very focused conversation, right? So maybe one that's specifically focused on economic development and what that looks like, right? And transportation, okay, what does that look like? We're just finding out, okay, what are the things that we can help push forward that's gonna help create the life that people in the community want to have. So.
And transportation is huge.
Absolutely.
It's huge. And I'll say I used to work with PSTA, so I'm very familiar with PSTA in this particular community and the services that have been provided here. Some not so good, some pretty good. All has room for improvement, and so. But this is when people have to come to the table and provide input when they're creating those routes, and that it lines up with what the needs are, the current needs. And that's been a big issue as far as some of the companies and the hours in which that they need employees to be there. It doesn't always line up with people can get to work, they just can't get home on the bus. And so, but that also requires that the community, the residents that, for years, there's not been adequate support for public transportation. And without adequate support, sometimes if people have a car, they don't realize that just because you have a car, it doesn't mean that the people who don't, they need a car, which will benefit you. So if they can't get to work,
Right.
And I know there's other, sources of transportation, now Ubers and other things like that, but at the same time, I think it's important that we push this survey out and we get people to come to the table and let their voices be heard. So,
For sure.
Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. Anything else from anyone? No? Good to go? All right, perfect. So moving on to agenda item number 7, which is citizens to be heard regarding items not on the agenda. So the floor is open, and sir, we can definitely work to address your question.
All right, I got a couple.
Okay.
Well, I'm new to the area. I've been here since May. I'm retired. Looking to start up a special needs K through 12 school. So I'm glad I got everybody here who know the area. If at the end, somebody who understands the commercial real estate environment here in North Greenwood, please give me your email or something and talk to me and actually just tell me what's going on, because there is no commercial real estate. So just from what I'm seeing, maybe I'm not looking in the right areas, but at the end, if somebody could just, give me your email and just pass some, some good information on to me, I'd appreciate it.
So can you state your name for the record?
Eric Pryor. Pryo.
And then to answer your question about the open office hours. So for the 2 grant programs that the CRA offers, which are the commercial and residential grant programs for the North Greenwood, we have open office hours. Those can be scheduled with Julia. We have her information, her business card is on the table in the back, as well as a flyer. Those meetings are held at our City Hall offices at 600 Cleveland Street on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9 to 1. They're usually scheduled for about 30 minutes. So she'll sit down with you to talk about kind of what your plan is. For if you're looking for commercial, she'll sit down with you, talk about the space, what your needs are, and then what the requirements that you would need to provide for the program.
That touches my second question. Outside of the grants, are there any other services that you provide to prospective business starters?
For the CRA, outside of our grants, we do not have any other services, but we're always open to sit down and talk with you. Just because we may not be able to have the funding or the services to provide you doesn't mean that we won't be able to help you get to where you need to go.
Okay.
So I definitely suggest scheduling a meeting with Julia, and we can, obviously, we'll sit down, hear what you need, and maybe provide you with some contact information for other areas outside of the CRA that might be able to assist you.
Okay.
Yep.
And the last question, the CRA, like you were saying, planning, strategic planning, I'm new to the area. Where can I go to find out what the goal of the committee is? What are you guys trying to end up doing? Like, are you trying to bring more or certain types of business to MLK or Myrtle, or just to get a good overview of what you guys are trying to do?
So the official CRA plan is on the City of Clearwater website.
All right.
So you can just Google North Greenwood CRA. It should come right up. And Vicky Ann have a printout of what the document looks like. So you can go on and you can download the entire book in PDF format and go through it, and it'll walk you through from the very beginning how the conversation started. The city coming out, having meetings here with the community and just working through the whole process to develop what's in this book here. So that will give you all the information that you need as it pertains to the CRA.
Are you all effective? Are you accomplishing things as you're going along? Or
We're brand new.
okay.
So this is officially our second meeting, and we're looking to help make some change for sure.
Thanks a lot.
And I'll jump in there and say, as far as this initiative, this began with the Clearwater Urban Leadership Coalition in September of 2019. We are the Citizens Advisory Committee that will advise the trustees or the council as to how those dollars that will come from the TIF, the tax incremental funds, into that trust for the CRA. We will advise them as to how those dollars should be spent. We'd love to have you come and visit one of our meetings. We meet normally every fourth Tuesday of the month at 6:30 p.m. And I'm happy to give you information about that. However, this is the end of the month. We combine that meeting, so I'll give you the date of that.
You sure? I got a problem being quiet. I'm sorry.
Oh.
I ask questions.
Oh, no problem.
All right.
Oh, no, we don't mind questions.
All right.
Yeah.
You seem like a gentleman, so I think it'd be fine.
I saw a hand. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry to be late, and I apologize. I went to the MLK Center. That didn't work out too good.
No.
I didn't know I can travel.
Nobody there.
It's sort of not there, but I'm still on Google. I am I'm a resident on Venetian Point, or was until.
Sir, sorry to jump in. Can you state your name for the record, please?
Mike Flannery, and I'm here representing the Clearwater Garden Club. Is why I'm here specifically. And the reason I'm really here is because we feel we are can contribute to the community. And we're right there at Seminole Boat Ramp. We're right there with occasionally you're also from the playhouse that's there.
Just by chance, I am.
Okay, so we have your sign on our sign, and there's no, we have no aim to gain something from this specifically, but we're a social organization in a way, and we want to make Clearwater better. And so, and between that and the playhouse, all of the school, and the other thing, there's a center here that offers opportunity, and we would like, if we could, and I'm sorry I'll be here on time next time, if I can, to contribute in any way that we can and help, I also, by the way, not on that, out of the CRA, is with the Clearwater Community Garden, which is on Grove Street. And both of those offer things like bees and places to grow things and things, which is part of this community. So it's really here, I just wanted to just say that we would like to be able to see if we can contribute and just make Clearwater a good, even better city than it is. And that's why I'm here. And hi,
Thank you, Michael. See you.
Awesome, thank you.
I would add to that, you have right next door to you is a beautiful organization called Mother's Arms, and they would benefit, you would probably both benefit from knowing each other, so they're right next door to you, going north from, or south from, on Fort Harrison.
714.
I would like to find a way to get some information, because I mean, our purpose is almost like the CRA is to make something better.
Yeah.
And not to make money off it or something like that.
Yeah, so they're a community-focused group as well, and their founder is from this area as well, and she is providing fantastic resources for mothers, young mothers, and women. And I work with her very closely every week, so there's a good chance that you can provide some service there too.
And with that parallel, we have a building that can be used for group meetings and things like that right in the neighborhood. It's a nice building,
Yes.
and it's there to be used, and it's underutilized, frankly, and it has a nice garden and things like that in it.
Yeah.
I'd like to make a comment to Mr. Flannery. I just applaud your longevity and your commitment to the community. I remember your
Still here.
name from the Willa Carson Health and
Yes.
Wellness Center. You were on the board many years ago, so.
And Willa Carson, I still miss her.
Yes, so again, I applaud you and your work to enhance the community. Thank you.
Anything else from the community? Yes, sir?
I wanted to ask about the list of writers. How's?
Can you also state your name for?
Doug Kelly, Internal Revenue Service.
Okay.
I'm a journalist in media, so I was just wondering how you got your list of people who you send your press releases to and get who you work with in the media.
To submit we work with the city's public communications department.
Jennifer.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Oh, that's okay. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, can I have a motion for?
I don't think we need one.
One more thing.
Okay.
And I promise this is the last thing. Since we will not hold another meeting until the new year, I would like to wish everybody a happy holidays.
Yes.
And a happy new year.
Yes.
Pretty sure I'll be talking with many of you before then, but I know that we will not be meeting again until we are in 2025. So I just, on behalf of the staff, we would like to wish everybody a happy holidays and a happy new year, and want to thank everyone that serves on this committee. Thank you for your commitment to the North Greenwood Committee. So.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for all of your hard work and efforts. This is, I'm excited for 2025. Yes. Yes. And I have a motion for adjournment, please.
Now, I do have one other thing. I'm
Sure.
sorry.
No, go for it.
I wanted to say about our strategic planning session that he proposed. Is that something that we can?
Yeah, we'll go back and look again, right? Like you said, this is very new to us,
Right.
right? Our other CRA that we have doesn't have an advisory committee, so, while we've been doing CRA for a long time, kind of having an advisory committee for it is new, so we're still trying to learn all the ins and outs of it. So we'll go back and take a look, see if it's something that we can do. I mean, if it's not a planning session, it's definitely a community meeting, right? And those are things that we're looking at doing. So while we staff both North Greenwood CRA and the downtown CRA, one of the things that we're looking into going into 2025 is having monthly meetings within the community. So outside of this Citizens Advisory Committee, We would have one meeting in downtown that would, be able to talk with those business owners, because that CRA is very business focused. So we would be able to have a community meeting with them to talk about the grants and things that are offered. But we'd also like to be able to do the same thing here, right? We know that sometimes 6 p.m. doesn't always work for some members of the community, so we want to be able to find times that we would be able to touch with a lot more folks within the community. So even if it's just, a session where we get out and it's, hey, come and meet your CAC members, come and meet your CRA staff, right? Those are things that we really want to start doing more of in 2025. So I would say that yes, we want to come up with some planning session, a good strategic planning session, but again, this is your Bible, right? This tells us as a CRA what we can and cannot do. One of the things that's really great about this one is it gives us timelines. So it tells us within this time frame, this couple of year span, the goal is to accomplish X, Y, Z. So, right? But again, it's something we'll look into, see if we can get one together, and we'll go from there. If the answer is no, we'll look at finding another way to, if the answer is no for the advisory committee, right, doesn't mean that it's a no for the community.
Right.
Right? So there's always a yes in there somewhere. We'll find it.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Anything else? Any last minute questions? Good. Motion for adjournment?
I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
Awesome. Can I have a second?
A second.
Awesome. Seconded. Motion is approved. Meeting is adjourned, 6:47 p.m.